Well, it's a pretty vulnerable thing to do. And then if it's not something your culture, or let alone your family, is pretty brave. So what brought you to that point to become an activist?
Growing up, I was very depressed. I felt that I couldn't really speak up for myself or for the women in my family. And I think that as a result, I've wanted to go against that. I think a lot of times women of color are silenced and they're unable to really be open about what they're going through. And I'm trying to end that cycle of silence within my family, but also within the broader community.
I see this in first-generational immigrant families a lot. Mm-hmm. They're so busy getting life on. Mm-hmm. You just got to keep your crap together.
Yes.
No matter how old you are. Mm-hmm. Your family, though, was still experiencing that, even though you were 2 generations from it. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that because the men in the family, like my biological father, was an immigrant. My mom's father was an immigrant. So it seemed like the women in the family were born here, but then it was the men. And, when it comes to those type of patriarchal systems,
yeah.
I think that has an impact, but I think it kind of goes back to women being silenced. I just think overall it was just this idea that while most of us were born here, there were still other parts of our family who had done so much to get here. So it wasn't completely one or the other. It was like an enmeshment of sorts.
Wow, that broadens my perspective a lot. It doesn't go away just because you are 2nd or 3rd generation American. Mm-hmm. There's still machoism, patriarchy. And if women aren't given a chance, mm-hmm. how can they provide for their children?
Right.
What advice would you give to people who are listening who may have someone in their life that they know is suffering from mental illness? How can we help those in our lives?
Creating a space where they feel like they can reach out to you. Just saying like, hey, whether you're going through something good or bad, just know that I'm here for you. Giving them specific ways that they can reach out. So sometimes, you say, oh, just reach out, whenever you're going through this. But maybe saying like, oh, here's my cell number, or here is how you can contact me, or send me an email, or whatever you feel comfortable doing. So giving those like specifics, those tangibles.
Yeah, it feels more real.
Also thinking about how a lot of times, like let's say I'm venting to someone and they rush to say, well, you could do this, you could do that. And
they try to fix it.
Right. And I think it's really important when someone is venting to you, just ask them like, do you want me to listen or do you want advice?
That's a great idea.
Because sometimes you just want to say everything you're feeling just to get it out.
Yes.
And then you'll feel a lot better. And then maybe there's a point during that conversation where you might want advice, but really try to figure out what that person needs from you at that moment.
Oh, great. Okay, let's just imagine deep into the future. What kind of life do you envision for yourself?
I would really like to start my own organization. I would really love to get my book into colleges and universities everywhere, maybe even high schools, because I think representation is so important, and to be able to bring those into these institutions where, they might not see people who look like them, or they might not think that other people are going through the same things. And I'm hoping that my work already has kind of done what it needs to dispel those myths, but to be able to actually see that for me is really important. My concentration in my MPH program was policy, so I'd love to get more involved in policy. I am a little impatient though, so I think I need to figure out my expectations within that.